Good morning and welcome to Master Debate, and I'm your host, Brent K. Today we are debating on which is the best super spy movie, James Bond or Mission Impossible. Joining me today is Jordan Wofield, who is part of the Mission Impossible fan club, and Tatiana Garvin, who is part of the James Bond fan club. Thank you both so much for joining me today. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, the thing that you see first in these movies is the theme. And they both have classic themes. Mission Impossible has the spark with the string on fire and the foreshadowing and whatnot. It's very intense. James Bond has the more suave, elegant, poppy kind of theme. So let's start with you, Jordan. Why don't you argue what the first impression of the movie would be?
Yes. So, well, you mentioned the theme song, so let's just jump right into that point, because I feel very strongly about the theme song. So, I think the length has a lot to do with it. I mean, the one for James Bond, it's like, what, 4 or 5 minutes long? Like, I don't need attention span for that. I'm not going to be able to pay attention to that. I just want to get right into the movie itself. But for Mission Impossible, I mean, it's only like, what, like maybe 2 minutes? So much easier to focus on, you know, like see it. It's like pretty cool. See all the titles and stuff come up, and the music's like kind of flashy, gets your attention. But then it's over, so then you jump right into the actual movie itself.
All right. Tatiana?
Well, I mean, everybody knows the James Bond theme song. Like, how could you not? Yeah, it's a classic, and it's older, and the length of it, I think, gives it, like, you know, some spunk, and people just want to hear it all. Maybe the Mission Impossible one is shorter because people just are getting sick of it sooner, so.
So Tatiana's arguing that the James Bond theme is more, it more hypes you up.
Yeah, it
for the
hypes you up.
movie.
It like gets you, you know, like let's watch this.
I don't feel
Would you
hype
say
when
that
I'm listening
Mission
to it or watching it, so.
Would you say the Mission Impossible theme lives up to the hype as well?
I think Mission Impossible is the definition of hype. I get hyped up every time I'm watching it.
All right. And let's move on to our next segment of this, and that is the villains. And the villains are, I think, what make or break the movie. So, Tatiana, this time we're going to start with you. And I feel like the James Bond villains are take more of a suave, elegant look and theme to James Bond.
I mean, with James Bond, it's like it's a lot more finesse and, like you said, suave, and it's like he's smart and like does things with like eloquence, and that, yeah, I mean.
And then Jordan.
Yes.
A more ruthless approach in Mission Impossible. What would you say about the villains there?
I think the villains are just more complex. I feel like they're just not on paper as like what you expect them to be. There's always those multiple complex layers to them, and you never know you're going to get with the villain because what they seem like they're going to be ends up being a lot different what the character is actually like. So I feel like whenever I'm watching it, don't really know what I'm going to get out of it. There's always that element of unpredictability that I feel like I get when I watch Mission Impossible as compared to James Bond.
Yeah, but everyone wants the classic, you know, the classic villain versus good guy kind of story.
Not everyone.
Well, James Bond is the reason that Mission Impossible is out, so.
Yeah, let's quickly go with the history there, because I know Mission Impossible, in terms of history, is relatively new. It got started in the 90s with Tom Cruise playing the leading role, and then James Bond has been around since the 1960s, I mean, practically. So let's just go over that. Like, how do you think history plays into this? Tatiana, I'll start with you.
Yeah, like that classic, you know, the reason there is a classic villain and spy story is because of James Bond. So, like, the variety, like the more ruthless and complex stories that's in Mission Impossible started with James Bond.
Jordan?
Yeah, I think the problem with James Bond is, though, it's been around, like you said, since like the 60s. It's like so old. It's been around for forever. It's the same type of storyline, same character. And it's not even actually the same character because James Bond's been played by different actors over the past like few decades. It's never the same person. Tom Cruise is the original person in Mission Impossible. He's the original. He's the only one that's ever played the person in the movies, so.
Yeah, but who doesn't want some facial variety?
So then let's go on to something a little, something that the movies are definitely known for, and that is the gizmos and gadgets, which everybody loves. The cars, the exploding watches, the facial altering devices that they have in Mission Impossible. That's absolutely crazy. James Bond takes more of a historic approach, and Mission Impossible takes more of a modern approach to this. What would you guys say to this? I'm going to start with Jordan on this one.
Yeah, I definitely feel that the gizmos and gadgets, as you put it, in Mission Impossible are definitely flashier, and I think they're more interesting to watch and to see.
Yeah, but in James Bond, they're a lot more complex and intricate, and there's a lot more gadgets. Like you said, the exploding watch, like that's really cool. So, I mean, it doesn't have that in Mission Impossible.
I think as well in Mission Impossible, I think the cars that Tom Cruise drives are a lot nicer than the ones that James Bond drives. I think Tom Cruise just has a better sense of style and fashion.
And Tatiana, I mean, James Bond's classic car is the Aston Martin. I mean, what would you say to that response?
I think that blows Tom Cruise's car out of the water.
I think it's overrated.
Do
Oh,
you?
boy. I mean, I'd have to argue though. I mean, Tom Cruise. I mean, they drove. I think they were sponsored by BMW in their last movie, and the BMWs are amazing. And then James Bond obviously has Aston Martin with like all the gizmos and gadgets and everything. Do you think, Jordan? Do you think Mission Impossible could learn a thing or two and put some gizmos and gadgets on the cars like James Bond does?
I think maybe a little bit, but I don't know. I still think they're better.
Okay. And then Tatiana, what do you think? What do you think James Bond can learn from that?
Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I wouldn't change a thing about James Bond. I think that the gizmos and gadgets and like having it on all devices makes him well prepared for every setting. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Definitely a very interesting conversation going on. But that's unfortunately all the time that we have for today. Tune in next week to hear some more absolutely amazing debates here on Master Debatin'. Have a good day.